Everyone, and welcome back to Bite Size GP Tech. I'm Annie Murphy, the GP in Merton, and today's episode is about GPTeamnet. This is a tool that's particularly useful for practice managers and clinical managers in the surgery, and it's a good platform for you to share information with staff, including protocols, meetings, the absence calendar, which is the annual leave rota, etc. So the product is actually provided by Clarity, which is the same company that provide our e-portfolios for our GP appraisals. So you'd log in pretty much the same way. And in Merton, I think all of the Merton practices have got GPTeamnet. So this is just basically a very quick overview of most of the useful functionality for new users of GPTeamnet. I could go on all day about all the other functionalities of it, but I'll try and keep this brief. So you log in the same way, and here is your home page when you get through. So you can see here the announcement bit, where practice managers can put on new announcements of what's new, what's happening, a list of all the meetings and scheduled appointments that you have, as well as some conversations that you might be having with other people in the local area, and some a snapshot look at anyone who's in or on leave. So, and the thing to say is that at the moment, this portal is the practice portal. You can be a member of several portals actually. So for instance, if I scroll down here, I'm a member of our East Merton PCN portal, as well as the training group portal. So that's a good platform for us to share information with each other. So just as an overview, what I'd like to go through today would be the things that are common and useful would be things like the diary, how to create meetings, significant events, the annual leave calendar and how to book annual leave, and the library where we would keep our protocols and policies, as well as the topics page, which is essentially a splashboard for us to share information. So if you ever want to know how to navigate to all these pages, simply just drop menu down here. You've got your information to start off with, including your absences, actions, appraisal, training. Anything that you would go into regularly would go under popular. And under clinical, you have things like audits, and there are also some nice summaries and useful sort of reference articles under clinical as well, which we can use. Under collaboration, there are announcements and discussions that we can sort of get involved with, and projects. Under learning and training would be the significant events, the appraisals, and also under management, I suppose this one is the most commonly used group. You would have audits, complaints, compliments, friends and family tests, premises checks, particularly useful for CQC compliance, fridge monitoring, the absence calendar, as well as safety alerts and significant events. There's also a good CQC tracker here, and we'll go through that in a second. Under people, we have all the HR things. So the most important thing I would have thought would be the absences. So this is the annual leave calendar. And we can have a look at that in a sec. So in summary, on your home page, I've left all my tasks open here on the taskbar so that you can get an idea of the sorts of things that we would look at when we log in. So we encourage staff to log in every day just to see what's going on, if there's anything new, any meetings that they'd like to go to, and just also to see if anybody's, who's in and who isn't in. So for managers and those who approve leave, you will have this sort of door icon here, which is literally people have requested leave and it's pending approval. So you can go in there and click approve or reject as required. Then I've got a couple of invitations for meetings that I need to accept, a few safety alerts that I need to look at, and some audits that I've started and need to complete, with a couple of training modules that I'm overdue on. So I have quite a fair number of things to do today. Okay. Next, I'd like to show you the topics page. So this is a great place to put everything, all the information in one place relating to one topic. So if I go into the online access topic here. So this is a good place to show all the video guides that I've been putting together, links to them, some digital guides and staff walkthrough guides that I've written, and some supporting information on how to contact IT, etc. And on the right side, I've put links on how to get remote access and how to download it yourself, guides, etc. So this is essentially a really good way of just allowing everyone to see all the things that's related to a topic in one area, and you can edit it down here under edit and customize it the way you wish. You can have as many topics as you like. Right, let's go back. The next most important bit would be the diary. So the weekly diary would be where people would go to most, I would have thought, to find out who's around and what meetings are happening. So you can filter the diary to meetings so that we know what's going on today. So the meetings are in red. If the meeting is in light red, it means you haven't been invited to it. But if the meeting is in dark red, then you have been invited to it. And we use this diary to keep a log of all of our meetings. So in order to create a meeting, it's very simple. You just go into the date in question, click on it, and this box would come up. You can either create a meeting, an absence. So if somebody's on annual leave, as their manager, you can add one on their behalf, or if you are the person on annual leave, then you can add an absence in order to request it. Then another diary item, this would come up as a purple sort of line item, and this is particularly useful to inform staff of activities or events. So for instance, at our practice, we have quite a few students come and go, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult to track where everybody is. So I'd use the purple slot to let everyone know when the students are coming and who's coming, etc. So if we add meeting, click on that, then you'll be able to enter the title, the details in the agenda, time, location, and then put the minutes on it later. With meetings, then you can add people. So for instance, add myself. Where am I? There we go. Okay. And then when, so if I added myself, when I come to save this, it would allow me to send an email reminder to the attendees and allow them to check whether they're going to attend or not. You can tick this box to allow anyone who's not invited to see and invite themselves. And if you don't want to get bombarded with emails of people accepting the meeting, then untick this box. Then under the sort of attachments area, we can attach any extra files and documents that we would like to share. We could also attach URLs as well as link to an existing GPTeamnet item. So if I clicked on this, I'd be able to link it. So for instance, if I did an audit and I wanted to share it with somebody at this meeting, I'd be able to link that audit and then add the required audit like so. And it would come up here as an audit. Same with the file. If I added a file, it will come up here as well. So anyone who goes onto this meeting page should be able to see all of the relevant documents. So once I've created my test meeting, if I save with options, oops, I need to type in test. Save with options, it will ask me, what do I want to do with it now? So I'd like to tell people about this item. And then the next page would be either you add it to their home page or you email a link to this item, or both. So if I emailed a link to this item, I can email it to all attendees, or I can choose individuals who I want to email it to. I can then enter a custom message which would, so I find that a personalized message is always, gets more attention, so it's always worth entering something like please come to my meeting, and send a notification. So I'll just cancel that because it's a test this time. So that's essentially how we create meetings and invite people. And when the meeting actually happens, you can just click on it and edit it and add the minutes on as you go. The next item would be the library item. This is where we would keep all of our protocols and policies. You'll notice actually that many other organizations can add library items that would filter down to the practice. And there will also be things like safety alerts filtering down to the practice as well. So this will all appear in the library, and you see there are some from the CCG and some from Medicine's optimization team. But if we wanted to filter just to the surgery documents, we could click on the blue ribbons over here, our surgery name, and you can either free text with keywords or scroll and search, or you can sort as you wanted to. If you would like to add a new library item, there is a green arrow on the right, top right hand corner of the screen, and if you just click on that and choose the item that you would like to add. So let me just try and go into, for instance, an example one I did earlier. So this one maybe. So this is the library item for admin and reception guides. So I've written a few guides and put it on the library item so everyone can have a look at it. And if I wanted to add some new documents to it, I simply click edit. It will give you everything that we've done so far. And then we can either add a file, a URL, or you can add another library item from somewhere else. Then once we've added it, we've got options for saving it. And this is quite useful actually, because this would link to your CPD. So if you have a clarity appraisal tool as well for your e-portfolio every year, if, for instance, a meeting or an audit or you were doing a project and you wanted to link that to your own appraisal, you can actually tick on the CPD appraisal and attach this, which means that from your Clarity account, you'll be able to download it into your appraisals. The other useful thing in particular for practice managers is the filing aspect of it. So you can file it under keywords, or you can click show in useful links menu, and it would appear up here on the useful links, although we try and keep this as uncluttered as we can. But one of the more important and useful things would be the attachment to key lines of inquiry for CQC. So for these Chloe's, we could use, we could add this particular document or library item and attach it to a Chloe, attach as evidence or attach as policy. So we've done a couple here, and that would bring you, if you sort of think back at the beginning where we were talking about the CQC tracker, if you clicked on the CQC tracker, under every Chloe, you would then be able to see all the documents, protocols, audits, whatever you've been doing that you've linked to it, and be able to see where you're, gauge where you're at in terms of CQC. So actually when the time CQC comes, all you have to do is give the inspectors the login to your GPTeamnet, and hopefully everything should be there. So when you're filing under visibility, you can also decide who you're making that document visible to. It doesn't always have to be visible to everyone, but if you wanted to make it public, you can, or you can restrict visibility or choose individuals that you just want to send this to. Okay, so let me just cancel this one. So that's essentially library items and diary. So the other important things I think to mention would be significant events. So if we go into the significant events page, we should not be putting any patient identifiable information on GPTeamnet. It's not secure. So what we do as a practice, our policy is to keep all our significant events on GPTeamnet, but we use patient IDs instead, so that there isn't anything identifiable on GPTeamnet. So under the SEA page, you could filter it according to what's open and what's already complete. If I filter it to all, we'll be able to see all the ones that we've had, plus their completion outcomes and their likelihood of recurrence. So essentially within each one of these, if you click on them, you should be able to follow the algorithm. I'll show you one of these. So we've done the root cause analysis, got the action list for everybody, and if that's been done, they'll cross it off, and then we'll go and complete that with a rating score afterwards. So, and then if we wanted to add a significant event, simply click the green arrow and choose add significant event. Okay. The other thing to talk about in management would be audits. So if we look at the audit page, these are all the audits that I've been involved in so far. Again, it's very similar to significant event. If you want to add a new one, just add a new one. I'll just show you this one to show you how we can edit it. This is what it roughly looks like. If we edit that, we should be able to see GPTeamnet has laid it out in a nice way for audits. So for those who aren't used to writing an audit, it's got all of the headings in place. So it's very useful as a training tool for new staff as well. So it gives you reason for audit, criteria to be measured and standards to be measured against, and preparation planning. And it also allows you have a separate page for data collection in several batches. So if you do the first cycle of data collection, the next time you come to do a re-audit, you can add a second batch of data collection, and it is quite, it separates it out quite nicely. And finally, you can look at your conclusions, visibility, and filing, linking it to any Chloe's that you need to link it to. So that's audit in a nutshell. And the final thing to quickly whiz through would be the absence diary. So when we, our policy, we have a minimum staffing policy, and we encourage clinicians and non-clinicians, whenever they are looking at booking annual leave, to look at the diary to see on that particular week who's likely to be off and who isn't. And then, you know, for instance, if you're a GP and you wanted a particular week in summer off, you go into that particular week, you see 3 or 4 GPs have already booked that leave. Chances are you're not going to get it. So there's no point even requesting it. You know, or you might then want to talk to the practice manager about it. So it's sort of a nice way for people to be able to see what realistically they can get and to plan their annual leave. It's much better than the previous way where people just booked a date and hoped for the best, and then the practice manager had to try and negotiate different things. So as you can see here on the absence calendar, we've got all of our staff. You can filter it to certain groups of staff as well. So if you looked and saw that, you know, that it's quite busy, so the dark green means it's been approved and the light green means it hasn't been approved, then you probably know that this isn't a good day to book annual leave, and you might need to talk to the practice manager first about it. There is a clear audit trail as to who requested what leave first. So it is a very fair process then, that if you're the last one to request, then you need a very good reason, that sort of thing. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about to start with. There are so many things on GPTeamnet that we can use, but I guess from a clinical and safety perspective, those are the main ones. The final thing actually I wanted to mention was safety alerts. Now, we do get safety alerts coming down regularly from MHRA, Medicines Optimization, and sometimes the CCG will send things down the safety alert channel as well. It may be a 1 or 2 day delay actually in certain cases for us to get the safety alert on GPTeamnet, but you will be able to see it all here. And also on the home page, if there are any action points for safety alerts and you click on it, it would take you to the safety alert actions page where you'd be able to see what you need to do. So for instance, this is the Emerade alert. So I need to go and have a look at certain patients who we've searched for who are on Emerade and issue a replacement device, that sort of thing. And once I've done that, I can just click that I've completed it and it would take it off. Okay. So there you have it. That is GPTeamnet in a nutshell. Do have a play around with it, and I hope that it sort of is useful for every member of the practice. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.